Welcome back to our Python course, and today we will start talking about databases, in particular relational databases, because there are other types as well. And we'll talk about SQL, Structured Query Language, which is the actual language for, well, retrieving, updating, deleting, modifying data in a database, in a relational database. It is extremely common, actually. Probably the most important language from the last 45 years, even more important than Python, or even though it's not a specific, it's not a general programming language. It is a so-called domain-specific language, right, which is used for databases, basically, right, for a specific type of database. So we will start looking at this language. It's actually meant to be even for non-programmers, for analysts, for anybody who is working with data, not only for programmers. So it's actually, well, relatively, I think, quite easy to pick up, and people are afraid of it for some reason, but it's not really that bad, right? Actually, I think it's only thing is it's started in late 70s, so it was, well, it has some things are left over from those days, actually, right? So let's look at actually what a relational database is, right? So relational database is basically a collection of tables, right? Data tables, as we know, rows and you have columns, right? So records. Each row is a record, basically, right? And you have attributes, so we call them column names, right? So columns holding data. Again, something we already saw in data frames, in pandas, and I'm sure you used Excel. Again, very familiar concept, but the big difference is that in a relational database, these tables can be linked together, right? And they have special forms of how you make these tables, right? And how you link these together. We can retrieve more than just you can create new tables, you can create new views from these tables. It takes a little bit of getting used to it, this format, right? So, but I think you can do this because before you, most of my students have been able to get the idea of SQL in a few lectures, and of course with some practice you will be quite handy, actually. So it's a very useful skill even if you don't want to do any coding, right? Because you can do some analysis with knowing just a little bit of SQL. So quite a useful skill. So how does it relate to Python? Well, Python has built-in bindings for a simple SQLite database. Actually, SQLite is not that light, but also provides ways of interacting with any other SQL database. It could be SQL Server, it could be MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres, and so on. Right. So we will learn the dialect of SQLite, but it is basically the standard dialect for all other SQL databases. So let's get started, right? So what do we need, right? So we have tables, and we'll later see there are some ways of relating these tables. So what is a relational database? So what is it? What does my AI assistant says? Yeah, stores data in tables, right? Each table has a name, right? Each table has columns, right? And each column has a name, right? Of course. And each column has data type, right? Each row has a unique ID, right? Each row has value for each column. Well, could be null, can be null, right? On each table, well, yes, you can say it has primary key, right? That's you generally, right? Unique identifier for each row, right? Again, some SQL databases allow multiple. Well, database, allow skipping it, right? Allow, most SQL databases. Right. Yeah. Well, okay. So that's basically idea. So what is an SQL database? Well, right. It uses SQL language. So what is declarative language? It is SQL is a specific standard language. Yeah, it's standardized. It's also right with database. And language is used to create, read, update, and delete data in a database, right? So that's what I've been talking about, right? So this is a little overview how what we are gonna work with, right? So right, and well, again, of course now AI is getting confused now, right? So SQL standard is defined in by the ISO. Let me see. Right on. Right again. So link to ISO standard. Yeah. Okay. You can check. Let's check if that's the actual standard. And ISO standard, you probably have to pay for it. Yeah, like 300 euros or something, or 200 Swiss marks, right? But yeah, it is, again, if you want, you could use the standard, right? 2016 is the latest edition, edition 5, again, but obviously you don't need this. There are other better ways of doing it, right? So, generally, how does Python work with SQL? Well, yeah, SQLite, right, on database driver, right, yeah, allows Python to communicate with database, on it's a lightweight database driver. There are other ones, right, yeah, okay, on, right, on, there are other database drivers for Python, such as, yeah, Psychops, MySQL connector, PyDSCV, PySQSM, and so on and so on and so on, and many more, many more, right? Those are external libraries. They're not part. Okay, so of course we install them. Install them. Yeah, there are also for other languages, you know, of course, right? There are also libraries such as SQL Alchemy, for example, yeah, with multiple databases. So this is very nice. So this I highly recommend this SQL. It's my personal favorite. SQL, yeah, But again, that's something to be talked ORM. We will talk about this, right? Okay, but all right. So this is a very nice library. So this is basically a big picture overview, right? So we will want to get started probably in a moment, but also, right, so that's how Python, and we'll work with Python. Also, it might be useful to install an external database management system, right, such as of course, there are many database systems such as SQLite Studio, PostgreSQL, MySQL, not really, let's see, SQL Studio, let's say SQL Workbench, I think Workbench I believe it's called, right? Workbench, Oracle something, SQL Developer, right? MySQL is Workbench, I guess it's right. Yeah, on Postgres pgadmin, but my personal, right? Yeah, that's the one, right? On my personal, what I recommend, well, access is not quite. We will not use SQL. We could use it, right? We will use Dbeaver, right? The address is the free data. It's a free open source, free, right? On address, right? On, of course, address. Well, okay, address link to download. Right, and that's where we're gonna go, because again, we could write everything through Python, but it's for a bigger picture view. I mean, we could use Python, but for everything, but it's not the best tool for a job when starting out, right? When it comes to working with database, right? It's not when starting out, right? Again, sometimes you just don't want to write a program, you just want to look around. Again, you can use, of course, notebooks and things like that, but for just general look, Dbeaver, some management system, you know, it's a separate program, might be, preferable, right? Of course, some of them paid, some free, some paid, and some free, right? So we'll use Dbeaver. So let's go to the link. And in fact, again, so download this, right? Use community, the community version. We'll use Dbeaver community edition, right? And what's the main difference? Well, the pro version, well, there's October 23rd. That's like 2 days ago. Very great, good, right? So you download the newest version, right? And install it on your machine. There is a pro version. You can have a 30-day free trial. What's the difference? Well, difference is it supports some of the cloud databases, you know, big table, for example, and also NoSQL database. So if we do a second part, when we do the second part of the course, when we work with NoSQL, that might be an option, right? But for now, for working with simple SQL and especially SQLite databases, right, community version is completely fine, right? And so quite nice. So you can download, right? I will download the Windows installer, right? Actually, I actually have it already, but I have an older version, right? So hopefully there will be no conflicts, right? While I'm downloading it, right? So let's download, let's see what happens. I'm gonna run it on English language, right? Continue, right? And it will, of course, you accept the license. It's an open Apache license, a free and open source, and we agree. For anyone, yeah, you can do it for yourself, right? For all users, right? I'll do that. Right, community installer again. On let's see again if it's say agree. Okay, Dbeaver community include Java. You could actually skip the Java, but this is too. If you have enough space, if you only have Java somewhere, but associated SQL database files, it's okay. You can. Reset settings, previous version UI settings. I'm not gonna set. I have another previous version. I'm gonna skip that one, right? You can associate it or you don't. It's up to you. SQL files are basically text files, like Python files, for example, Py files, right? They're basically just text. And like I said, Java is basically so you don't have to worry about particular versions. It's included for this Dbeaver, right? Community. Let's see, 130 megabytes, not too big, right? Let's see if it works, okay? And then program files, Dbeaver, we have space, and let's go for it, Dbeaver community, and it should tell me that this actually already exists. Let's see, 2223, again, older versions will work just fine, like I said, it's been good for the last few years already, probably for 5 years or so. I'll create a new shortcut, it's up to you, right, and we should be good, right, alright, so now, let's see, we will go to the place. Let me save this file, right? And I should have a shortcut somewhere on my computer. There's Dbeaver. Let's see if that's the newest version. Yeah, program files Dbeaver, and I will click it, and it will run. And let's see the version. And come on, let's see what the version will be. Looks like they have hired a designer, well, of sorts, and are doing some extra work. And hopefully, this version will run fine. Yeah, 2223. That's the newest version. First time, of course, always takes a little bit longer, right? And yeah, it will want, of course, yes, it will try to pick up the automatic drivers, right? If you have a new installation, right, you need a driver for particular database. We'll be working with SQLite, so we'll want that one. Okay, sure, right? And so download, sure, why not? And should hopefully work. So our database viewer or management system should be loaded, Dbeaver, right? And I have multiple databases here, right? But you probably don't have any, right? So we will need to install have a connection, make a new database connection, right? To a database, and let's do that. New database connection, right? And we'll use SQL. Remember, NoSQL, because we don't have the community version, doesn't have NoSQL support. You can do it separately by plugins. But yeah, we'll use SQLite. Look at all these different SQL versions you can support. We will install SQLite. We make a connection. And now all that's left is we need to tell it where it lives, right? So we can basically open the path. So the good news for you is that I have already. I have different files. I'll go GitHub, but I'll go here. We have it or my Oktoberfest, but the October demo October, right here, and I'll go to day 22. Right, there's Chinook. Right, there is a database already, not a very big one, about 1 megabyte, but we will open it. Right, so open, right, and finish. Right, we could test connection, of course, if you want. Yeah, looks good. Okay, you can check details, but looks okay, right? All right. So, let's finish. Well, I have had it. I've used different Chinooks many times on this machine. So you'll probably have Chinook DB, 1 or nothing like this, right? But I'll have 8. So again, you can see where the file is. Again, SQLite, right? So what is SQLite? Right? What is SQLite? What is SQLite? Right, in a file, well, maximum 140 terabytes. So it is not a problem, right? So it's very, even if, you know, how many have 140 terabyte drives, right? You need to have a like a cluster of drives, right? It's a relational database, right? Of course, you know, and again, well, again, so official site is here. It is one. It's amazing. SQLite is embedded, right? Such as Android, right? iOS, Windows, Linux, right? For example, you know, many browsers, like browsers themselves, right? Python, like I said, macOS, of course, right? Of course, as well. On Firefox, of course, right? Different versions, you know. Chrome also, well, Opera, again, I'm not 100%, I know Firefox use, and so many, so anywhere, so because it's so easy, because it is easy to include inside in a program, it is widely, yeah, for small, and not small, on big applications. So what is the limitation? What is the limitation of SQLite? Yeah, why wouldn't, right? So let's see, it is, well, it's a single user, right? No password, right? Yeah, no multi-user support, no multi-threading support, right? No multi-processing support, and well, we already did. So okay, thank you AI, I guess, right? So, but otherwise, that said, right? I said, so if you don't have multiple users, well, again, multiple users can read and write, but of course they can't do it at the same time. I mean, you can have multiple connections to the same database, but you can't write at the same time, right? Reading is no problem, right? Actually, right? Well, so you've probably also seen this before. So yeah, otherwise it's SQLite is very well SQLite. What is advantage? What is another? Right. So it's, of course, right. Right. Well, yeah, that's advantage as well, of course. But I think again, it is easy to use. Well, you'll see, right? On backup, restore, transfer, right? Share, because it's simple, easy to learn. Well, again, yeah. All right. Well, we will see about that. Right. All right. So quite nice. It is also SQLite is also very well tested. SQLite is also extremely well tested. Yeah, it's also fast, right? It's fast. It is faster. It is faster than most other. It is faster than most other SQL databases, right? And again, of course, you can, if you want to see. We can check SQL database popularity site statistics is here. Yes, very nice site. If you want to check what's happening, yes, you can see, of course, Oracle SQLite is like number 9, dropped a little bit because access is still there. Of course, these are not you know, but most of you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, 8, 9, most of these are relational databases actually. Well, access is not pure SQL, but you can see that only very few SQL databases are there actually, right? So, of course, Oracle, because this is a corporate, you know, ranking, you know, across the world, right? You can debate about this ranking, but you can see, of course, SQLite is, I would say SQLite is actually more widely used. We just don't count it as such because it's in everywhere. It's in every device, basically, right? So. Yeah, so that's if you want to see the ranking and see what's happening if your database is there. All right, so let's get started. Right, we can get a basic idea. Hopefully you have installed. Let's check. We click on tables, right, and we see 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at all these tables. Let's look at we can look at customers. We can look at artists. Let's look at tracks. Look at tracks, right? I clicked on tracks and I see a table. Again, using Dbeaver, you can actually download, export another table. You can download the table here. There's a script actually to download. I forget where it is here. Oh no, that can't, no, cancel. But you can actually download, you can save it actually, results. You can separate, export it if you want. But however, so that's a single table, makes sense, right? But let's see also, let's write our first query, right? Let's write our first query. Actually, this, so I will use editor, open, make a new script, a control forward bracket, closing bracket, right? You see control this, right? You can use a shortcut on. Let's make a script. So select all from tracks, right? Notice how it tells me where to get, right? We'll make our first all from tracks, right? On T. And this also makes a semicolon ends the result. Let's see, Control Enter. And notice here you see the result, right? Yeah, now can I save it now? I don't know why it doesn't let me save right now. It should be actually available to save the results, right? I don't know why it's not giving me results here, right? You can see it now. Script, I wonder why it's export. Oh, maybe you can do export maybe. Yeah, you can see CSV, JSON, HTML, right? SQL, of course, text, right? You can export as well. Yeah, and then you can export everything as a CSV if you want, right? And of course, but we'll later see that pandas, you can get connection directly to the database. You can import directly using pandas if you want. Okay, so the basic syntax: select everything, right? All rows, all columns from tracks. Is this generally you want to limit results? Maybe you get 1 million rows, right? Rows. However, most database management systems will limit rows for you automatically. For you, basically, Dbeaver does it too. Dbeaver limits you to 200 by default, right? You see here 200 rows. So if you want to see more results after 200, right? You see it automatically starts picking up more results, 1400 and so on. As you start scrolling, as you scroll down, you will see more results. Again, of course, right? So let me save this result. I will save this so we can finish this. Save as. I will save it. Simple select script, right? And I will add it to our demo October Relational Database SQL, right? So I will save it here. Yeah, and let's check. Let's check if is it here. Yeah, there it is. Select script. Notice little database symbol, right? Yeah, it's a simple text file, right? Just like Python. So this is language again from 70s again. So you use it. So couple things. So yeah, notice how SQL is case insensitive. Because why? Right. Well, okay. SQL was started in 70s. Right. Yeah. IBM. And I don't know. AI is mainly, of course, big company, of course. But the thing is, not all keyboards had uppercase or lowercase letters, right? In 1970s, right? So that's one thing is right. Also, right. So okay. So that's one of the things what might be, available. So let me save this. Let's see. Right. Notice file change because I'm using two different systems. I'm using Visual Studio Code and Dbeaver. Right. This change was not reflected here. Right. So I will replace the contents, and you can see my all the stuff I've created in Visual Studio Code. Okay. But yeah, let's go back to syntax. This syntax is the basics, right? So we'll be using it all. So notice this is comment syntax, right? For comments, right? This is comments, right? So we use for comments. Let me save. Will it update? Let me see here. select script. Let's see, select script. Yeah, oh, it's updated automatically. Okay, great, right. So again, so we saw our first syntax. A good site we will use SQL tutorial for syntax. SQLite tutorial for select is, yeah, so we will go here, right? So we will go here on, yeah, so this is a simple select statement. You can actually select, you can use it for math if you want, right? You can do things like that, but usually we will want to get data from tables, right? That's what we will want to do. This actually has a full syntax here, right? And we'll go through it and check some examples. So we'll see, again, during class we will learn more about the syntax. For now, this is probably the most popular type of query. So second thing is, before we leave today, before we go, is that we have multiple tables. So if you want to check something, is that, see the ER diagram, view tables, where's my database? There we go, where's my table? View ER diagram, my tables, where's my diagram? Right, there's my tables, views. How did I get my ER tag? I forgot now how to do this. View tables, yeah, ER diagram. Okay, ER diagram, there you go. Okay, so notice, right, this will go more in detail, that these tables have some sort of relations. That's one of the key parts, right? I mean, you could technically have a database without any relations, but then it would be really a lousy relational database, right? So again, keep in mind that these have relations, and notice actually here already, you see, these are the actual relations. We have track ID, which is a primary key for this particular table, but we have so-called foreign keys for which link this data to other tables. So we'll explore that more in detail. Again, so that keep in mind. Again, a good relational database consists of multiple tables. Again, you could technically have just a single table, right? But this is usually the whole point, is to have multiple tables with relations. Okay, so what did we learn? We learned how to install Dbeaver today. We learned how to connect the simple database, basically a file, because it's SQLite, it's always a file, basically, unless it's in memory. And we learned to use the select statement, right? And we learned also how to find, where to find documentation, and also about how tables are, that they are related to each other in some way. All right, so we'll continue in class with some queries, some basic queries. Thank you.